Okay, I'm gonna talk to you about disruption to purpose. Disruption to purpose. I am obviously walking you through my own personal journey in this, and I'm going to touch on some few things. I'm going to talk about the power of journey. I'm going to talk about building in purpose and to purpose, and I'm going to get into economics and how we build these enterprises. I think one, it's very important that I put this out to you that number one, wealth has got nothing to do with being carnal, but it's rather a covenant issue. Wealth is not a carnal issue, it's a covenant issue. Number two, wealth is not a worldly issue, it's a godly issue. And I think a lot of us hello, Sis Amanda, you blessed us so much yesterday. I was like, my word, I wanted to just go on my knees there on the chair. That was an anointed and prophetic teaching, and I received so much from it. So I'm saying that for the longest time, we've excluded ourselves from the economics. And as soon as you understand that economics are one of the spheres that are shaping influence in the world, you have to know that we're not built to be just the church people alone. There are 8 spheres that shape society today. Number 1 is family. Number 2 is politics or government. And number 3 is education. Number 4 is religion. Number 5 is definitely business. Number 6 is media and then arts and entertainment. And there's technology and there's also, am I missing anything there? And there's medicine as well. So there are different mountains. And I think for Ibandla, the church, the bride, we've just really been specializing in one domain, and that domain is religion. And God hasn't called you just to really be an usher alone and be a choir member and be an intercessor. There are different spheres, and all of these spheres, God is assigning the church to occupy them. And as soon as we occupy them, then only will we drive real influence. And he has always been about influence. Now, you need to understand that you cannot influence without any influence. For you to influence, you need influence. Okay, he gave that to Adam and he missed it a bit. And he came back through Noah and Noah ran with it. And he passed it on to Abraham. And when it comes to Abraham, God is saying, go out there, I'll bless you, be a blessing, and I'll make your name great. Why is God going to make him famous? It's going to make him famous so that he is going to drive kingdom influence. There's nothing wrong about fame, but it has to be linked to the kingdom impact. So, did you know that it's part of being famous is part of the package? It's part of the kingdom package. But it's about how do you get to fame, and what are the things that you're doing to actually be famous? What are you famous for? Maybe it's a question that you should ask yourself there. So I said I'm going to start with this embracing the beginning. Embracing the beginning. Most of the time, a lot of us hates the beginnings. We hate the journey, how things start. But you can't be on the destination and get into the destination without starting somewhere. So I want to get us to, first of all, on the phenomenon of embracing the beginning. Embracing the beginning. And as I was preparing this, did you know that the power of ignition is what gets the car to go? You did not have to do anything. You just needed to press that button if it's automatic. And then if it's manual, you just needed to get that key on the other side. And the car is like, vroom, and then you decide where you want to go. Okay. So I think then this is what I want to say to you is that for anything to move, you got to start. You got to start. And for anything to work, it has to stay on. I mean, we are in a beautiful building this morning. Somebody had to switch on these lights. If you've got a computer, you got to switch that computer on. If you got a calculator, you can't work it out or process numbers without going to the on button. So it has to start somehow. It has to start. And I want to lead with this, that when you are starting, you're going to notice that you are starting small. And there's a power of the beginning or the power of the journey. Now, God had to, get right there. I mean, if you're a student of a Bible, I'm going to reference a lot of the Bible here because I am into what spiritual entrepreneurship. I'm into what is biblical entrepreneurship. That's how I'm running the business that I'm running. I'll get into what I do a bit later. But anyway, Genesis 1:1, it's that in the beginning God created. In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. And I think a lot of us are struggling with the beginning phase. And you gotta have to get into it because the beginning is the premise to creativity. Beginning is the premise to creativity. In the beginning, God created. So whatsoever it was to create was not there. But he had to face the beginning. And that beginning meant that there is nothing. And out of nothing, he formed something. And that is what creativity is all about. A lot of times people are too stuck in like, oh man, it's like, this is how things are at the moment. But you've got everything within you to bring the creativity of the beginning. You've got it. It's in you. So God to create in the beginning, it meant that he was to create with what was inside him, not with what was outside him. The idea, the concepts, the precepts of the heavens and the earth were not outside, were in him. And a lot of us are like, this can't start because 1 and 2 and 3 is not happening. The beginning is in the inside of you. It resides in you. And you gotta have to bring it out. And number 2, I'm wanting to get into this beginning thing because as I was praying into this meeting, God told me, see, I deal with the journey, the beginning and the journey before you get into the economics. Because something has to start somewhere for it to be something. Something has to start somewhere for it to be something. We are all on the journey. We all had to start on the journey. And we're not yet there. So, Revelation 21:6, he said unto me, it is done, I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Did you know that God is also the beginning and he's also the end? Did you know that he's the beginning? Like when it's not there, he is right there. He is there. And so when you're not starting, he's not starting either. You gotta begin somewhere. So he is the beginning, but he is also the end. So if he's the beginning and also the end, it means he's also in between. He's going to begin, he's going to be with you in between, and he's going to finish and wrap up this thing together with you. So if you have started something and is not processing really well, you got to know that God is right there. He's finishing this thing with you because he's going to start it with you, but he's also going to complete it with you. So he is the beginning and also the end. Job 8:7, though your beginning was insignificant, just stay with me, yet your end will greatly increase. So how does the beginning look like? The beginning looks like small, humble, imperfect, and little. It's like it's not there. I don't see it. But we become impatient with that process of the beginning. It's like a process starts somewhere and it finishes somewhere. However, is to know that this is some of the things that I want to give to you, is that the beginning is as powerful as the end. The beginning is as powerful as the end. And most of the time, we have to correct some people theology. We've got a lot of crap that people are throwing in, and we find ourselves talking things that we don't know how got into our system, and we just like talk things. It's like it doesn't matter how you start, it matters how you finish. What? What is that? How you start is as equally important as how you finish. This is a foundation. So we have this problem, and it's creeping on the Gen Zs, it's creeping on the the millennials and the older chaps, the folks. We don't want to value the treasure that is found in the beginning. We want this microwaved success. It's like God created the heavens and the earth. Those are platforms. He had to come back into, and he found out that the platform was messed up by the enemy, and he had to now recreate what was to be in the earth. It's like we are told. The whole book of Genesis 1 is about what God had to put in the platform. The trees, the mountains, the seas, the fishes, and all those kind of things. So I'm saying, hold a bit with that microwave success, because you want to rush the journey. And if you're running the journey, you are going to miss something that is very important. And my pastor used to say, when you jump up, you are going to come down crashing. But if you grow through it, you are going to stay through it. You're going to sustain it. So anything of value is going to take time to build. Anything of value takes time to build. I mean, the kingdom itself, it just does not start with 100-fold. You gotta have to be at 30, and then 60, and then you are at 100-fold. But you can't just shoot through. You gotta have to understand that this thing is going to take a little bit of a process. I think it's ChatGPT. The guy, I mean, they are generating about 12 billion rand dollars, but they haven't been profitable yet. It's taking time. It's 2025, almost 10 years later. They're not profitable. Jeff Bezos, 9 years. Amazon, never were profitable for 9 years, but he just kept going. So what I'm wanting to say is that God loves the beginnings, and I will tell you why I'm coming into that part of the beginning, because I want to link that with sort of where I'm coming from. Zechariah 4:10, do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin, to see the plumb line in Zerubbabel's hand. Do not despise these small beginnings, for the Lord rejoices to see the work begin, to see the plumb line in Zerubbabel's hand. That's a foundational phase. But God says, I love that. I'm loving to see the work begin. Does he know how it should shoot through to its scale? Absolutely. He knows that. But God is not interested in you getting where you want to get to. He is interested in you processing the journey with him. Processing the journey with him. Because processing the journey is building character into you, which we are all running away from. So the beginning should be as exciting as the future. It's like, don't be excited by the future alone without being excited about where you're at. I mean, at some point, starting the business we started in, it was just like 100. I was like, grateful for that. And it's like 200. And it's like, okay, I'm grateful for that. And it's like 500 and so on. It's like we are 10 years next year, June. But it has had to take time to break these ceilings over and over and over. And today, we're obviously handling a couple of multi-millionaires. I'm running a multi-million rand company, but it has to take time. So I'm going to give you these two, and then we focus on how do you beat this phase of the beginning, because it's going to wear and tire you out without you knowing. The beginning is an opportunity to process and work out the end. God works through the beginning to release potential. And and this idea of potential is got to do with something that is not yet seen to you. You haven't seen it. Potential is something that is hidden. You can't see. But God is gonna throw into your way um, situations, challenges, disappointments, failures, tests, and all of these problems that are going to like live within your ecosystem. Who loves problems here? Society love problems? No, we don't love problems. But is that God is going to put them into your space. He's gonna like take you into uncomfortable places and seasons, and that He's using it to show you what it is that is already invested into you, which will expose to you potential. And I'm going to expose to you potential, and I'm going to show you shortly how God removes cushions so that He's going to reveal to us potential. He's going to remove cushions so that He's going to reveal to us potential. It is with Moses. Uyazalwa uhamba ngobhaskidi, and he's got to face the Red Sea, but through that he becomes an Exodus leader. It is with Joseph. He goes through the pit, he goes through death threats, he goes through the prison, but he goes into the pinnacle. It is with Jesus. He's born in the manger, and then he becomes the King of Kings. He's with Gideon. I'm from the least and the poor, but he becomes the mighty man of valor. It's with David. He's a shepherd boy, but he ultimately becomes the king over the kingdom. So this is what I want to say to you. We have a problem with, I've worked with a little bit of young people. They don't have stamina. Like the generation that is coming behind us after the millennials, they are soft. And the reason why they're soft is because the parents are giving them everything, and they're not exposing them to reality of life. And as a result, when they hit the marketplace, they can't stay long. They can't enjoy, because there is a whole lot of crappy stuff that we've accepted: depression, anxiety. I'm not saying those things that they're not there, but there's just like to these young kids. And I'm saying it's because God works through removing cushions, and we've given cushions to these kids. We have not helped them to stretch the capacity. And to stretch the capacity, you gotta know a little bit of pain. A little bit of pain. So let me get into my story here. Why I'm talking about that, I'm just really showing you this page because I struggled with that concept myself. When I was born in a family of 4 siblings, being the last born, and I struggled a little bit. I had a mom and a dad, but Ubaba would not stay at home. Because he was working as a police, he was working as a mining worker and stuff like that. He struggled keeping up with these opportunities because he was drinking a little bit. And that meant we have a dysfunctional structure at home. And that left us as kids, particularly me, because I'm young, really struggling. I know what it is to go to school without no shoes. I know what it is to go to school without food and come back to home, no food, sleep without food. And yeah, life was tough. Raining, you going to school with those, barefooted. And it's raining, you have to have maybe 10 to 20 buckets in the house because there's just so many leaks in the house. And that thing hit me to the core because grade 5, so I could not articulate myself. I could not communicate. I could not do oral presentations simply because that damaged the self-esteem. But number 2, I had a father that is not present. I've asked him just like, please buy me a bicycle, Dad. And he could not deliver it because he's not there. He's not present. And I can't blame it to him because God is gifting me with this pain process. And he knows what he's building. So something that happens again is that every time, there's like, hey, who hasn't paid the school fees? I was always on that queue, because there's no money at home. And now the thing that I'm battling with is that at home we've got a church. My grandfather was a pastor. Grandmother was on fire for God. We're sweeping, on Sundays I'll be the one sweeping the church, the church's floors, they're coming in. But I'm questioning God. It's like, if you're real, why did you allow it for me to be born in this family? Because it's not working, man. If I'm a bit vulnerable, I'm going to tell you why I'm talking about this process, because it's like I felt God just really nudging me. I had to see Dad really struggle a little bit, struggle with me, struggle with my mom, hit this boy. It's like, kwenzakalani? Hit my mom. It's like, kwenzakalani? And he could not deliver. Just a bicycle, he could not. And this man has had opportunities to work. And when he passed away, I cried more on about, I'm reflecting now later on. It's like, I cried about him not answering my questions than him passing away. That's how deep the pain was. But anyway, life is as tough life is that. I remember schooling, I'm going to school and the teacher is like, hey, Gule, I'm going to punish you, discipline you. And it says, it's like, you've got a little bit of debt in Tsila, emadlebeni. Hey, Gule, amadleba akho nensila. And that affected me. When things are not good, how life becomes. So that was the story of my life, pain. I'm not associating with it. I'm not embracing it. But anyway, my mom begins to do something about this situation at home, which I believe was the idea from God. She begins to get into entrepreneurship at the time. It's like, it is a struggle, side struggle, or what? I don't know what it is, but I believe that she had an idea from God, because she would have easily left the family and carry on with her life, but she stayed. And she begins to sell 4 products. Millie. She sells fat cooks. She sells tripe meat. And then she sells fruits. Now, I'm this young chap, and I'm like still denying this reality that exists in my house. I'm like, you know what? This is not part of me. So let me fast track to this story quickly. I'm talking about the journey. The beginning is that mom then begins to invite me to participate in helping her. Like, take the bucket, you wash a bakery when you're going to school. And I would like, no, I don't want to do that. Ego. And then if I'm coming back to school with some of my friends and I see my mom crossing or being on the other side of the streets, and I see her carrying the bucket because she's now selling, and I would like dive, hey, guys, I need to go there because I'm afraid that mom is going to see me and she's going to call me, and these guys are going to see that this is the situation at home. I haven't accepted that reality. But I don't know how I got convicted. It's like God humbled me, and then I started being a partner to my mom's business. It meant that she gets up at 4, she bakes fat cooks. I pick up that bucket, I leave it at the bakery, and then it sells. From school, I pick up the bucket. So I'm this boy of the bucket now, the boy with the bucket. On Saturday, it meant that I am selling fruits, bananas, oranges, pears, and apples with my mom around the taxi rank. It meant that she goes, orders mealies. I am preparing the fire with the boyki. And then when she gets it, we put it in there. When it's ready, I go and sell around umbila. She goes, stock up meat. Come back, we cut, we wash, I distribute. So I started seeing business probably at the age of 7, right there at home. But what started to happen, I think it started really having the ripple effect, because then from a boy who could not pay school fees, without no food, without no shoes, then that business started turning around that situation right at home, turning it around. Fast track quickly fast is that that business gave me an opportunity to get into university, but I mean, I started really brightening up, shining up. I think I was a top student for maths and science, because like, I'm hardcore, and I'm saying with my mom, I never stole a cent in that business. I'll give everything back to her. And Sunday we're going to church and stuff like that. I get born again, transformed, and all sort of things. And when I'm in corporate, stuck, unfulfilled, earning a lot of money, I begin to, search out what it is that God created me for. Why there's this unfulfillment that is going on inside me. I'm doing extremely well in my career, promotions year on year, but I'm like, man, this can't be it. And I started then praying about it, connecting the dots, and I think that story of that pain or that journey helped me greatly to say, one of the things, I mean, I did personal assessments, I prayed about it and so on, and then God says, well, boy, I've called you out to be an entrepreneur. A lot of my friends are pastors by then. I thought I'm also going to be a pastor and stuff like that. At home, my grandfather was a pastor. I'm like, geez, man, I would love to carry that through. But that story becomes a gift for God to reveal what he was preparing me for all this time. And that's how I simply just leave corporate. When I left that, I was a breadwinner at home, and family was crazy about that. I think we went through 6 months or to a year of not talking because they think I'm crazy. But I mean, today, all of that, it's just behind us, and God has been really faithful. So I want to share this with you quickly, and then I can get into the wealth creation part. And I want to tie it back into the journey, the power of the journey. Ubude bendlela. Because we all are on the journey. And maybe, most of us haven't even arrived there. We've got hopes, dreams, aspirations, but it's not taking on a straight path. There are many pivots, many sort of challenges. And this is where I want to start it with you, because you are not going to become a game changer in entrepreneurship if you don't understand these basics. Number one is that Jeremiah 1:5, God tells this guy, listen, buddy, the word of the Lord had come to him. Before I formed thee, I knew thee. So relax. Number two, before you were received or conceived out of your mother's womb, I also ordained you. I ordained you, appointed you. But I also made you a prophet to the nations. He has not yet come out. And that's Jeremiah. It's like when God brings any human being on earth, he brings that human being with a purpose. And that tells me, anybody who's out here, in an hour, it's like you're breathing in and out, you are carrying God's intent inside you. And the question is, have you found it? Because you are his idea on earth. You are his plan. You're not by chance. You umama no baba. They're not the idea. They are the vessels of the idea to bring you out. You are his idea. 2, I'm talking about this concept of the power of the journey. It says here, Deuteronomy 8:2, how God really builds us. and how he builds with the journey. Remember how the Lord God led you through the wilderness of these 40 years, humbling you and testing you to prove your character and to find out whether or not you will obey his command. Remember how the Lord your God led you through the wilderness. He did not lead them into the wilderness. He led them through the wilderness to build character, to build stamina. The wilderness looks like pain. It looks like disappointments. It looks like tough things. It's like, how did you get here? But uNkulunkulu sebenza ngendlela. He works with us through the journey. It's like, don't rush that thing there. Just like, be focused, be so present in the process than the progress. However, this is number 2. I want to say to you, don't let the journey wear you out, because the journey is gonna. I can tell you now. I'll get these guys from the Bible. There's very something that God calls you to do will wear you out if you're not careful. And life alone will wear you out because it's not going straight. It's up and down. There are valleys in that. Now, here is how you're not going to get worn out. Look, it's easy to wear out. It's like, how many people have changed the tires on their cars? Like, I've had to change tires. It's like, this thing gets worn out because it's carrying mileage and mileages. What do you think you are not going to wear out Monday to Sunday? Month 1 to a quarter. Year 1 to year 3. And you're thinking you don't need renewal. So if you are not being renewed through the journey, you are degenerating through the journey. We gotta have to work through how do we get renewed. Now, tired leaders, and then I get into the business. Tired leaders. You can still be a leader, be tired. You can still be a pastor, be tired. You can still be an entrepreneur, be tired. And you cannot innovate out of being tired. Their voices rose, Numbers 14:2-4. Their voices rose in a great chorus of protest against Moses and Aaron. If only we had died in Egypt, or even here in the wilderness, they complained. Why is the Lord taking us to this country only to have us die in a battle? Our wives and our children will be carried off as a plunder. Wouldn't it be better for us to return to Egypt? Then they plotted among themselves.